Hey, Xenia, can you hear me?
Hi, Dan. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Ponce. I believe we're all ready to start the meeting.
Thank you. Marika, Autumn, could you please come on? Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the Thursday, December 9th, 2021 special meeting of the St. Helena Planning Commission. There's a couple paragraphs I need to read before we get rolling. This meeting will be conducted pursuant to the provisions of Government Code Section 54-953 as amended by AB 361, which authorizes teleconference meetings under the Brown Act during certain proclaimed states of emergency. The Governor of California proclaimed a state of emergency related to COVID-19 on March 4th, 2020. This teleconference meeting is necessary so that the city can conduct essential business and is permitted under Government Code Section 54-953 in order to protect public health and safety of attendees. Consistent with Government Code Section 54-953, this Planning Commission meeting will be held via teleconference only and will not be physically open to the public. Commission members and staff will teleconference into the meeting by audio and/or video. The meeting will be conducted via Zoom webinar. Ms. Gamero, you have more information.
Yes, Chair Ponce, I will be sharing my screen here. Members of the public who wish to participate via phone can do so by dialing 669-900-6833. At the prompt, enter the meeting ID 835-1819-3862. Press pound, and during public comments, you can press *9 to speak. Additionally, tonight's meeting will have live Spanish interpretation. To access the interpretation, you will need to use the Zoom application from either your cell phone, tablet, or computer. Instructions on how to use the Zoom app are listed in English and Spanish on the agenda posted on the city's website. Once you join the meeting from the Zoom application, you will see a small globe at the bottom or top of the screen. You can click on the globe and you'll be able to access the live interpretation. We have Marcy and Claudia as the interpreters this evening. And that will be all. Thank you, Chair Ponce.
Thank you, Ms. Gamero. That takes us to Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Anderson, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Zinnia, will you take the roll, please?
Commissioner Anderson,
Here.
Commissioner Rothfeld,
Here.
Vice Chair Hale,
Here,
Commissioner Segura is absent this evening, and Chair Pont.
Here. That takes us to public forum. Under California law, comments at special meetings are limited to subjects on the agenda only. Therefore, public comment will take place during consideration of the item. Each person's comments shall be limited to 4 minutes. So that takes us to consent items. Members of the commission or the public may ask that any items be considered individually for purposes of considering alternative action, for extended discussion, or for public comment. Unless that is done, one motion may be used to adopt all recommended actions. We have one consent item tonight, the minutes of November 2nd, 2021. Is there any member of the commission that wishes to pull that item for further consideration? Seeing none. Ms. Gamero, is there anyone out there in electronic cloud land who wishes to have us pull that item for consideration?
There are no members of the public that wish to pull this item.
Good. Then a single motion is appropriate at the present time.
I motion that we approve the minutes.
second,
We have a motion, a second. Ms. Gamero, will you take the roll, please?
I apologize, I was muted. Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hale,
yes,
Commissioner Rothfeld,
Yes.
and Chair Pont.
Yes. Well, that takes us down to scheduled matters. This is also a public hearing, I believe, is it not? The request by Rifugio Holdings LLC for a sign permit approval in order to place new signage on the recently remodeled building on the property located at 1334 Vidovich in the Service Commercial Zoning District. I'll open the hearing on this. Is there any commissioner that has any ex parte communications on this matter? Seeing none. Staff report, please. Aaron, is this your item?
It is. Thank you, Chair Pont. I am going to share my screen real quickly. Hopefully that can be seen. So the existing 4,950 square foot building at 1334 Vidovich Avenue is located toward the rear of a 1.65 acre commercially zoned property. In April 2019, the Planning Commission approved a 16-seat wine tasting room within the building. And in April 2021, the Planning Commission approved design review in order to accommodate exterior modifications and site improvements to the subject building. This design review approval did not include approval of new signage on site. The applicant is now requesting approval of a sign permit in order to place new signage on the recently remodeled building. Oh, too far. Specifically, the applicant is proposing signage on the east elevation or the front of the building, consisting of a backlit metal logo containing the letters C and F inside a gear. The gear for framing the letters has a circumference of 3 feet 6 inches, or approximately 9.5 square feet, and would be painted red. The larger letter C would be 2 feet 4 inches tall and 1 foot 10 3/4 inches wide, while the smaller letter F would be 1.5 feet tall and 11 inches wide. These letters would be painted white. The LEDs for the logo lighting are not individual lights, but a continuous linear strip light. Per the specifications, the LED is 266 lumens a foot. At approximately 9 feet of sign circumference, approximately 2,394 total lumens would be distributed behind the logo. Additionally, there's an external downshielded LED light affixed to the building above the sign, which would produce approximately 1,390 lumens. A backlit metal sign reading Cliff Family is proposed adjacent to the logo. The lettering would be 11 inches tall and 9 feet 4 3/4 inches long, or approximately 9 square feet total. The metal lettering would be painted black. The LEDs on the lettering are modules of 3 diodes each. For the specifications, the modules are 52.8 lumens per module, with 8 modules are used for each letter, would be approximately 422 lumens. The 10 letters comprising the sign would be approximately 4,220 lumens total. For reference, one 75 watt light bulb is approximately 1,100 lumens, and one 100 watt light bulb is approximately 1,600 lumens. Therefore, total lighting associated with the project signage is the equivalent of approximately 5 100 watt light bulbs. Proposed signage associated with this application is in compliance with the restrictions and prohibitions detailed in St. Helena Municipal Code Section 17148. And staff's opinion is that the proposed signs are compatible with the site and appropriate to the building and its surroundings. Furthermore, the building is located toward the rear of a long parcel and is not readily visible from Main Street. For these reasons, staff recommends that the Planning Commission determine that the project is exempt from the requirements of CEQA pursuant to section 15.311 of the CEQA guidelines, and approve the application for a sign permit at 1334 Vidovich Avenue, allowing the signage described in this report and in compliance with the attached resolution. Excuse me. With that, I would like to wish everyone a happy holidays, and I'm available for questions should there be any.
Does anyone have any questions of staff at the present time? I don't see any hands. Is the applicant here tonight? Do they wish to speak on the subject?
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Please, Mr. Gay. Yes.
Okay. No, just, I mean, nothing really to state, just available for questions should anybody have any.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions of the applicant, who is at least dressed in appropriate festive colors?
This is the worst sweater I had.
I don't see any hands. With that, then, this would be the time to take public testimony. If anyone out there has something to say either for or against the project, now would be the time to do it. Commission Secretary Gamero, do we have anybody out there who wishes to speak on the project?
There are no members of the public that wish to speak on this item.
All right, then. With that, then, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for discussion. Is there any commission member that wishes to start the ball rolling, as it were? Or the cycle pedaling, if that's their metaphor they choose? No, I don't see any. Oh, Commissioner Anderson, please.
I would just say I don't see anything wrong with it, and I think it's a really well-designed, reasonable request.
Anyone else? No? Vice Chair Hale, please.
I have no concerns, and if I'm reading the Zoom room correctly, I don't see that anybody else does. So I'm happy to move that we determine the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to section 15311 of the CEQA guidelines, and approve the application for a sign permit at 1330.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All right. Ms. Gamero, will you tally the votes for us, please?
Vice Chair Hale,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Rothfeld,
Yes.
and Chair Pont.
Yes. Thank you very much. That takes us to item
Well-
8.1, department reports. And Director DeRosa, you have one on pop-ups for us tonight.
Yes, have you heard of a pop-up? What they are? No, they are actually are temporary use permits that have become very popular. And Zinnia is going to run the PowerPoint for me. Thank you. So I thought I had actually presented this to the City Council in the fall. They had just asked for a status report, so I thought it would be helpful to also just share with the Planning Commission I would say the success of the program since the ordinance was created in 2018 and what our numbers look like. So this is just a short summary of some of the benchmarks of what's occurred with activity, and which is attached to the agenda. And also there's a matrix table with more breakdown in detail. But just some of the highlights are that there were 21 temporary use permits total that have been issued to date. There's been a year-over-year increase in the number of permits that have been issued. 2 of the 21 permits issued resulted in an application for a permanent use permit. Those would be the Gregory Lang Art Gallery and the Lang and Reed Tasting Room with administrative offices, which the Planning Commission both has seen those, acted on those. Then there were 8 of 21 permits were temporary in nature. Some of the examples would include a community art wall. There was an anniversary party. There was the drive-in theater, two various permits for that. We had a campaign office, pumpkin patch, the gratitude wall on Hunt Avenue, and a Pure Fresh Clean event. And then 13 of the 21 permits were for brick and mortar type establishments. Again, you would be able to refer to that in the table. And one of the permits that we approved in 2019, we noted as a result of our follow-up work, was operating without requesting a permanent use permit. So we did contact that particular use, which is an art gallery, and they have actually submitted for their conditional use permit. So I expect that to come to the Planning Commission next year. Next slide, please. I'm not sure if you might want to see if you can, if you want to scroll and make that bigger. I know it's hard to see on the screen, but this basically just summarizes the activity by year. Again, with the ordinance being commenced in 2018, really the activity started happening in 2019, where we had a variety of projects come in. As you'll see, most of these are all on Main Street. And then in 2020, just a nice variety of different uses that helped keep businesses being able to open and not have to go through a long process. So we find that it's absolutely been a great success story, I think, for St. Helena. With the code update, obviously we're keeping that in and making sure that the process continues to be easy to navigate, and we still strive to turn those permits around in an expedited manner. So anyway, so this is just a short summary. I just wanted to bring it for your information, but if you do have any questions, I'm available to answer any of those. Thank you.
Thank you, Director DeRosa. Does any member of the commission have any comments on this subject?
I have a question. Is this something that will keep going through COVID, or was this kind of it started in 2018 and 19, but it seems like the bulk were in 2020 and 2021. So is this something that we plan to have exist for a while, or will it come to an end?
Oh, no, it's a permanent part of the code. What we did do during COVID is we passed an urgency ordinance for what we call, there's another kind of permit called an emergency use permit. And that was because suddenly the restaurants couldn't operate indoors. And there was a need to have really creative space, how people use the outdoor areas, particularly for outdoor dining. So we had to create some special exceptions that say, hey, you don't have to replace your parking and various things that was just a more agile way to navigate through that unusual circumstance that all the businesses were facing. So that one has a sunset to expire. We actually need to go ahead and clean that part up of the code. But I think that's probably what you may be thinking of that's more temporary in nature.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Any more questions or statements on the subject? Yes, Vice Chair Hale, please.
Ed, I just have a question. Is there a move afoot or a plan to proactively address the soon expiring, or things that are about to expire before they expire, so that we can it would seem to me useful to plan, to calendar kind of a reach out to these ones that haven't reapplied automatically, and just so they don't fall into an awkward state. And it would seem easy enough to do that.
Yeah, every business is a little bit different. For example, like the pumpkin patch, we knew that they weren't really having a brick and mortar situation, so we wouldn't necessarily send them a letter. But I think that comment definitely applies to those that are occupying storefronts that can easily just kind of fall under the radar because they just keep on operating. So yeah, we can have those checks and balances put in place, like, particularly I'm thinking like 60 days before their use permit is set to expire. They can just get a standard letter or email from the city.
And on the Wish, the store called Wish, they don't need one. So was there a reason that they applied for one? Or
okay, so this is an interesting story. It's coming back to me now. I wasn't here then, but this was something when the previous director, Noah Hush, was very excited that this new ordinance had come in place. And this was a store that came and said, well, can I just go ahead and use your new ordinance? And Aaron, jump in here if I'm telling the story wrong, but what I remember is he said, yeah, let's have you use this pop-up. But in reality, they actually were already a permitted use in the code. Is that right, Aaron?
That's exactly correct. There was a lot of excitement about this new permit. And so it came in, it was processed, it went out. I think Jesse even wrote something up in the Star about it. And then yeah. I was sitting there and I was looking at it and I walked into his office. It's like, no, they didn't need one. He was like, oh yeah. So anyway.
Well, we were all excited about passing this ordinance. Thought it would be a good thing for the city. It's turned out to be fairly active. I'm pleased with how it's worked out. But yeah, we were all pretty excited about it right then. So the first poor person in the door said, hey, we can offer you this new permit, even if you didn't need one. But that's a good story. Any other comments or questions or concerns about this program, which I think has shown itself to be a successful for us? No? Okay. Thank you, Director DeRosa.
I do have actually two more things.
Okay, cool.
Just more updates for the Planning Commission. This is our last meeting of the year, right? So it better pack it with a punch at the end, right? So the SB 9 ordinance, the city attorney and I did not have as much time in advance to coordinate on this, and I apologize that this did not get to the Planning Commission, but we are taking it to City Council as an urgency ordinance on December 14th. I invite you to look at that agenda packet. It should be published hopefully tomorrow. And feel free to reach out to me with any questions. I do envision bringing a revision to that ordinance back early in 2022 because the real significant part where the cities can exercise some of their power, if you will, over a ministerial review is through the objective standards. And I want to have those a little bit more refined for the single family to make sure they're right. But we still do have some standards in there, but take a look at that. And then I just want to wish you all a happy holiday and happy new year. Thank you all for your service. Staff has worked really hard. I know it's extra challenging with seems like the pandemic and just trying to, move things forward. And I appreciate all of you. Aaron, thank you for all your work this year. Zinnia, without you, we wouldn't even have these meetings. So you're just really become quite the Zoom star since all this virtual meeting. So I really appreciate your just seamless. These meetings go so well, and really thank you. And to our interpreters as well, really thank you for hanging in there with us. That's all I have.
Sounds like plenty. That takes us to item 9, agenda forecast. As usual, the items the city is working on that will appear on future agendas are on the city website. This is also the time for any member of the Planning Commission who cares to have an item shown on a future agenda to bring it up now. I don't see any hands. And with that, I will take a few seconds with the gavel to reiterate what Director DeRosa said. Thank you all very much for a good year, and we will see you next year. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So this meeting is adjourned.
Happy holidays.
Everybody.